Hey, I'm Vince DelMonte. You're listening to the Dynamic Lifestyle Podcast with Chris and Eric.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode on the Dynamic Lifestyle Podcast. We have Vince DelMonte in the house with us. How you doing, Vince?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you for having me, man. This is a great setup.
You're very welcome. Thank you, man. And you actually have your brother here, too, that is doing like some B-roll videos, so it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, we're filming a new ad today for my supplement preload, which delivers all-day energy. So we've done one in New York, like an all-day New York. We've done one in Toronto. So now this is the LA version. So all the different things happening, and it'll get cut down into like a 60-second ad. And
yeah,
it's essentially an ad for entrepreneurs who want more energy.
Okay.
So it's been fun.
Yeah.
You know, we'll piece this together and it'll look cool in the end.
Yeah, that's awesome. And man, you've had a hell of a weekend so far here in LA. So I mean, are you pretty burnt out, or you just got a lot of energy going still?
You know what? When we do these trips, it's all on. Like
Yeah.
there's no moment of like, we don't waste a second. So yeah, we trained this morning at Gold's Gym in Venice.
Nice.
We met up with the Titan, American Gladiator, Michael Heron.
Yep.
And my coach, Bedros, helped orchestrate that. And he was the nicest guy in the world.
Super nice guy.
We squatted. We did some bench. He gave me a ton of insights. We pretty much talked about life the entire time. Met his, I'm not sure if it's his wife or his girlfriend, but they're having a child together. So we had a great morning, and then we were on a little show prior to here.
Cool.
And we got a full day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, Mike's a nice guy. We always see him there too. He has like his dog with him and stuff too, but very, very nice guy. Like you would think like he's this big, intimidating guy, but he's such a nice guy.
Yeah.
Very genuine, very
down-to-earth.
down to earth.
Yeah.
So.
Very approachable. Yeah.
absolutely.
Didn't want the time to end. Didn't seem like he wasn't watching the clock at all. You know, sometimes
Love
the
that,
guys
man.
are watching their watch
No,
or they're on their
absolutely.
phone, and you're like, I think we're done here.
Yeah. So we
Yeah.
spoke a little bit about LA. So I mean, are you a fan of LA? Yes or no?
Not really.
Okay. Yeah.
I was telling Mikey, I like the energy. I think I like it in a dose, like small dosages, but it's weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to figure out like what you're hearing when people talk to
Yeah.
you. I can't tell if it's real or if it's like I'm talking to somebody who's legit or somebody who's fake, and I can't put a pulse on it. So I find I can nod my head a lot, and I can sense it seems like people are doing a lot, but I don't know if they're actually achieving.
Right.
So
Yeah. And that's something we found out quickly is a lot of talkers out here. I know this person, I can connect you with this person, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but I'd say maybe
everybody
that
knows
30%
somebody.
are the
Yeah.
ones that are really taking action, doing some stuff. So yeah.
A lot of takers and not enough givers is what I've noticed out here.
yeah, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, maybe that's why we do well, like in Toronto. We just, I work from home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have a smaller inner circle. You
Yeah.
know, you don't need a lot of people.
No.
Yeah, I think that whole thing of like needing a huge, like you need a couple key people.
Yeah.
Right?
Starting to
And
figure
you need
that
a
out
couple
too.
really good people who you can trust and who have the same vision and values as you. That's the hard thing to find, people that have things that they prize highly and practice daily. That's my definition of a value.
Love that.
Yeah.
No, it's true. Yeah, it's very, very true. So Vince, I know you do a lot of filming. You have your brother here that's awesome, set up, everything. So what's one of the funniest things that's happened to you like during filming? Is there any like a funny story or just something
I
where
put
just-
out a video last summer, and I guess it wasn't with Mikey, it was with another video team, and I drink a lot of caffeine, and I didn't have my preload back then, and it was just probably on a couple cups of coffee, and I mixed up the humerus and the femur in a video, plus a couple other concepts I didn't explain clearly. And I had a big hater on YouTube. He pretty much builds his entire audience around attacking, criticizing. He would say he's fighting against stupidity, and he would justify it with his own reasons. So this video got like over 120,000 views.
Okay.
And I got run through the mud. Even today, if you re-comment, sometimes you'll be like, hey, do you know the difference between the femur and the humerus? And this audience couldn't figure out, why didn't you take the video to actually DM the guy? And because he did another video about me, and I was like, hey, I'm glad your audience is still getting a good laugh at my expense. If there's any other way I can offer value, let me know. I'm just trying to let you know, But I guess what happened was he couldn't believe that I left the video up. Like, why wouldn't you take it down? And I said, we missed it in the edit. So you didn't proofread the edit, or you didn't watch. Didn't no one on your team watch the edit? I'm like, no, we missed it. We screwed up. And at the same time, I was reading Jocko Willinig's book, Extreme Ownership.
Okay.
So when you F up, yeah, like what do you? I screwed up.
Yeah,
my audience. So I think a lesson here is that, you know, from Grant Cardone's world now, no one thing can blow a deal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No one thing can blow a deal. Like, so you think because I mixed up 2 body parts, my whole business is gonna crumble? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I'm like, people have watched my journey for 10 years. People know I talk fast. People know I contradict myself. People know that I jump from thing to thing. It's who I am.
Yeah.
And there's an audience out there that likes change.
Yeah.
So what could appear to others as a weakness, I've created as a strength.
Yeah.
And I'll keep being prolific with my content. Yeah, I'll probably screw up again.
Yeah.
And yeah, we should have corrected that. We should have caught that. But the point is that we didn't, and we don't need to put out a public announcement that we screwed up. We could put a little comment in the comment section. We can make a joke of it. I have that self-awareness that, oh my gosh, you know, this is devastating. So we lean into the objection, right? And I think this is something people are afraid to do. When they screw up, they back off. And I did this for many years online. I got attacked by a lot of people. And I would back off and pretend it wasn't actually happening. And I wouldn't just like make a quick joke about it. Hey, A+ for clickbait or something, like, and just to like address it, but not like make it take up my day.
Right.
So I think everything can be repositioned, reframed if you have self-awareness. And I screwed up. I'll probably mess up again. So that was something that happened on camera. There's been many, I think in my earlier days, it's, just talking too much and not coming into a shoot prepared with what you want to say.
Gotcha.
So, hey, what should we film today? On the day that the team arrives to film, that's when you get yourself into trouble.
Yeah.
And when you force a certain pace, like I remember when my good friend Elliot Hulse, Strength Camp, one of the biggest YouTube channels, we were at the same wedding together, one of our good friends, and we were hanging out, training in the gym, and his YouTube channel was starting to pick up some steam. It was when it was in the low 200,000s, and he was on pace for 1 million subscribers that year. And I asked him, what's the thing? What are you doing? He goes, I'm posting every day. And that was his just one line. Okay. Elliot doesn't say a ton. He said, I'm posting every day. And I'm like, I got to post every day. I'm going to post every day. And that strategy didn't work for me, right? Yeah. So there was too much quantity, and then you lose the substance, and that has a consequence. Yeah. So I think, starting to contradict yourself, and then you start talking about topics that you're not truly an expert in, you start getting yourself into trouble. For me, I got myself into a lot of trouble with nutrition. And because I was listening to Charles Poliquin and I was listening to all these super smart nutrition. I'm not a nutritionist. I would not have said that back then. I would try and teach nutrition and repeat things I heard other experts say. But you can tell when you're listening to a professional or an amateur, right? Now, when it came to training, I didn't get into trouble because that was more I feel really comfortable talking about training, program design, exercise execution. And I think a little lesson for our listeners is just leave subject matter alone if you can't talk about it comfortably. Yeah. And if you can't use simple language to convey your points. Yeah. And those are some good lessons.
Absolutely.
Those are some great lessons from the earlier days of creating a lot of content and using YouTube as a platform.
Yeah. No, that's good stuff. Yeah.
No, especially like what I like too is the humility that you had, right? You could have sat there and freaked out and took down that comment, and that guy, the video would have been gone, right? But you left it there, and it shows just, authenticity, and that, you're not superhuman. Like, you're going to fuck up. This is what I did, 10 years ago. This is my growth that you're seeing. Right, that's somebody that you want to sit there and follow and be a part of and hire as like a coach, like you are, right? Because I don't want to be like around somebody that's like going to try to sit there and sugarcoat a bunch of shit and try to act like they know everything, that they sit there and they didn't ever mess up or have any humility. You know what I mean? So I respect you for that. That's really cool.
Yeah, and I mean, here's the deal. One of the best things that can happen to somebody who's afraid, they're like, what if I get put on blast? What if I put out a video and I get attacked? That's the best thing that can happen to you. Yeah. Why? Because all of a sudden, 40,000 people know who you are. Yeah, but Vince, it's all negative. Like, they all think I'm an idiot. Not everybody thinks you're an idiot. People understand that this guy who's taking you to town, that's his business model. His job is to attack and criticize and be over-analytical because that's how he gets views. Right. People aren't stupid. They can see what he does, and they understand that he's mischaracterizing and manipulating information to get attention. So not everybody thinks you're a complete idiot. A lot of people will say, I actually kind of like this guy. And here's the deal. There's 7 billion people in the world.
Right. Exactly.
That video could get put on blast and be seen by 10 million people, and you'd be fine. You'd be fine.
Yeah.
So people need to stop being so fearful about, now I'm not saying go out there and do stupid stuff to get attention for the wrong reasons, but if something happens because you missed something in the edit, or you spoke too fast, or you didn't have your thoughts perfectly articulated, no one thing blows a deal.
Yeah.
And you got to be prolific, not perfect, and your quality will come with the quantity. I'm a slow learner, so I truly think that I needed all those years of bad videos to start finally putting out some good stuff many years later.
Yeah.
And that's my story. I think a lot of people can resonate with it because they're like, yeah, I'm smart, but I'm not like one of those top guys up there. And you don't need to be.
No, not at all.
Exactly. Yeah, I love it. So take us back in the time machine when, you had the childhood name of Skinny Vinny, and also too just some of the insecurities that kind of came with that, and then you used your pro long distance running kind of to run away from those insecurities.
Yeah, I mean, you find an identity. I mean, I grew up in a great home. I truly feel like I was blessed with the best parents in the world. And, I picked my parents wisely, if you will. And they really gave me and my brothers a strong foundation. And they really helped us find our identity in who we were and not what we did. But even while you're skinny, that's not like the nickname you want, really, Skinny Vinny.
Right.
So I became good at running, and I found my identity. And, in high school, I represented Canada, and I went to the World Triathlon Championships, and I had this coat, I had the Power Bar logos when Power Bar just came out, and I didn't take this coat off. Like this, I wore this coat all the time. It was my my Canadian national triathlon coat that said I was on the national team. And you hang on to that, so now people say, yeah, he's skinny, but he's a great runner. So I think you start finding your identity in things that won't last. And I think that's a challenge. Some people find their identity in their grades, in the girl they date, maybe the club they're a part of. And I found my identity in my athletics. So I think it helped me, but at the same time, running can't last forever. My eligibility ran out.
Right.
And then I had to start a life after it ran out. And so I think it helped temporarily, but eventually you're going to have to, you can't keep finding your success in what you do. And I encourage people to try and find their success in who they are,
right,
and who they're becoming in the process of it.
Yeah,
right,
absolutely.
So what do you think that you did to kind of, finally, take your stand and put that flagpole in the ground and be like, I'm not running anymore and using this, kind of run away from my insecurities. I need to just take a stand and deal with it to move forward in life.
Well, here's the thing. I wasn't a great runner. I was a pretty good runner, and I trained really hard, and I made my way somehow to becoming the captain in my 4th year at University of Western.
Okay.
And I started to see that you could get good at something just by not quitting because people around you dropped out. But after 4 years, you have to, figure out, like, I can't take this any further. I've taken it as far as I can, and I have to start my life also from a career standpoint. So I was done school, and that's when I entered the fitness industry as a personal trainer. So, I try to find a new identity. And the new identity I try to build was a guy with muscle, and that's where the transition from long distance runner to a guy who then built his body came from.
Yeah. And you mentioned too, like growing up, you had amazing parents, which I think it's great because I think a lot of our success and just who we become could stem from like our upbringing. So were your parents like, the type that really encouraged you to go out there and just, pursue bigger and better things? Or were they always kind of just like, no, Vince, like you kind of have to just like, be the status quo and just, follow the steps like everybody else?
Yeah, I got to process that one a bit. I think,
and what I'm going towards too, is cause I want to know like where you got this like itch to become an entrepreneur.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, there was one entrepreneur in my family, my grandfather, but my parents were always very supportive, but they are Italian and they still have a bit of that old school fear mentality. Gotcha. And I was really encouraged to go to teacher's college, and the plan was to become a high school phys ed teacher. Nothing wrong with that at all. But, I just didn't know what else was out there. And I don't know if my parents knew what else was out there as well. I think they just knew what they knew, and they saw that as a secure thing. To me, it looked like a good thing too. And they were supportive, but they were also very cautious, because this whole industry that I headed into as a personal trainer was uncharted territory. I still remember when I started working at the Guelph YMCA, which is 5 minutes from my house, as a trainer, my dad asked me, "Are you going to be a personal trainer when you're 35?" Not in a like he didn't, like, are you? Like, is this a viable path?
Right.
And that was the first time I realized that I had to make my parents believe, and it wasn't, they didn't need to believe in that, because why should they? They were concerned, and they didn't understand how I spent $50,000 on a university education and then was going into into a path that was like, I was helping guys, old men, with their knee extensions, or how to get into the back extension machine. So it seemed like a downgrade, I think, in his eyes, even though I was helping people. But it wasn't until I got around other people in the fitness industry that I started to see there is a future here. And the common thing with these guys is they weren't just service providers, but they were selling.
Gotcha.
And they were very good at marketing and selling.
Who were some of these people, if you want me to ask?
My very first, there was a couple people. The very first one was a man named Jeff Russo.
Okay.
And he owned a consulting company called the Edge Fitness Business Consulting. And our gym hired him to teach our club how to sell more personal training, how to sell more gym memberships. So here I am at this gym to service people, fulfill the training, and he showed me this opportunity that, hey, that you can write your own paycheck. You can work on commission.
Right.
And I never heard of this world before of, selling and writing your own paycheck and persuasion and influence and closing. These weren't words that I grew up with. But I fell in love with the world almost immediately, because here I am all of a sudden making 10 to 20% commission on every deal I closed, which was far more than what I was, earning on an hour to hour. So I quickly saw the opportunity there.
Yeah.
So those were like some of the early situations. I also, at the same time I was starting as a personal trainer, my dad introduced me to one of his friends. His name was Mike, and he was 35, and the way my dad introduced me to him was that, hey, this is Mike, and he's retired. And Mike had retired he was a guy from our church, and he had retired from real estate. And Mike told me to read a book. I don't know if you guys have ever read like one book that really changed your trajectory, but for me it was a book out of the Rich Dad Poor Dad series, The Cash Flow Quadrant. And it was the very first time I ever was introduced to this concept of passive cash flow. And recurring income and making your money work and not working in your business but on your business, all these new concepts. I never heard of any of these things before. So I knew about my grandpa having real estate in Niagara Falls, but I wasn't really connecting the dots on why I kept hearing from my nonna and from my mom and my dad that your nonno's very successful and he's done very well for himself. And I'm starting to now see that, all these things started coming together at the same time. When I was 22 out of university, I was reading this book. I was now starting to see this opportunity to make money through multiplication and not through addition and subtraction. And I think that's one of my first introductions to the world of wealth creation. And now rich people don't look at things as a cost, but things as an investment, and they take their money and they put it to work and they leverage their time. And that's when the whole world of the whole fitness industry all of a sudden became real. Like, this actually could be something, and I made it something while working in that gym for a few years. So those were kind of like the foundation years. I think I was really intrigued by the idea of being able to create something of my own.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, because I was asked the other day, like, where did that come from? I don't know if this is all a coincidence or not, but when I was a kid, I used to collect comic books.
Okay.
I used to have the Indian Club, the War Club, the Spy Club, and I used to create these clubs. I used to collect comic books. I used to draw. I love creating stuff. So there was always, it seemed like all this stuff came together, and I was able to all of a sudden create my own, online business eventually, but prior to that, a name for myself in a small gym in Hamilton, Ontario, where I became known as a really good fitness consultant. And that started building up a lot of self-confidence, a lot of self-worth. I started seeing, maybe I deserve more in life. I'm good at what I do. And opportunities the world just started looking bigger.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And how did you pivot from, being like that really well-known fitness consultant, like in the trenches, like being a personal trainer, to now what you do, coaching fitness experts how to go online and build their own businesses?
That didn't come for 10 years. I spent a full decade just building my own online fitness business from 2005 to past 2015, just servicing the end user, the skinny guy who wanted to have their first muscle building transformation. So I was in the world myself building a real business before I even had the idea of like, hey, let's teach how I'm doing this. I actually started getting sought out by people. That's what happens, right? Everyone wants an online business these days, right? Yeah. Everyone wants to be a personal brand. Everybody wants to sell on the internet. Everybody thinks it's easy. Yep. It's going to be further from the truth. Yeah. You know what I mean? You have a better chance of making more money working where you're at than online for most people.
Yeah. Especially starting off.
This is no joke. This is not an easier route. This is not like, just start an online business. Yeah. It is so hard. Even if you've been doing it for a decade.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I got to give you a fist pump for that, man. Because
seriously,
it's just so true.
It's true.
It's so true.
Yeah. People are like, oh, you must be killing it. You got your own online business.
Yeah.
Man, oh man.
And not even that. Just you have people out there marketing themselves like, I'll make you, I'll have you create like a 6-figure business in like 30 days, like 60 days. I'm like, come on, man. Like,
and me, 6 figures that's nothing.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I mean, to be honest, it's like, it's 6 figures. Like, what are you going to do on 6 figures?
Yeah.
Like nothing.
Exactly.
Like it's anyone can start a business. Anyone can hit 6 figures. I think one of the reasons that people have gravitated to me, and one of my, what I would say one of my trophies is that I have done it for a decade. And that is a card I play. Yeah. I do say I've gone up and down. My business has been up, it's been down. It's been challenged, and I think people are looking for people that have gone through some adversity.
I agree.
And who've been around for more than 2 years.
I agree.
Like, how do you teach business when you've only been hardly in business yourself? These landscapes change so much.
Well, nowadays the qualifications like hundreds of thousands of Instagram followers, and that qualifies you.
Oh yeah. I mean, and here's the thing I like to tell people: back then, like between 2006 to 2011, you could do a launch, and you could literally make $300,000 in 4 days. Yep. You didn't have to cut out commissions to affiliates, no split testing on the headlines, no launches. You just round up a couple guys, send some traffic. All of a sudden, there's $300,000 in your bank account, and those days are long gone.
Yeah. Long gone.
And, I'm a product of launches, affiliate marketing. I am a product of you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. That gets a bad rap. And I think I wish looking back I did a little less of it. But at the same time, I can't say that because I made so much that I was able to put aside a lot and give my, a good foundation for like decisions I'm making now. They're a little more risky. Right. That I, have that there. So I can't say I wish I didn't. There's pros and cons to it. The thing is if you do it, you got to go all in. Yeah, you can't be wishy-washy. And I was all in on it. I promoted all the time. I promoted people all the time. So I got support all the time. And I built up a big customer list. But at the same time, I took care of the people coming into my world, and they ascended with me over the years. And, but today I don't do any affiliate marketing. I haven't for 2 years. Yep. Like I don't make any money, like maybe a couple pennies here. I don't make any real money from affiliate marketing anymore. Mm-hmm. Email marketing. We made all of our money off of email. Our email program is dying. Like it's struggling. And even we got all the tools, 250 OK. We know how to get into Gmail primary and updates tab and avoid the promotions tab. We know how to segment. We've got all that knowledge. We've got all those strategies and all that. Even having all that knowledge, it's still hard. Yeah. So now we're like finding that we're getting more. I built this brand new coaching program off my Instagram stories. Yeah. And I hardly even get like 500 to 600 people who watch my stories and on a daily basis. And there's 37,000 people that follow me, and I hear about some of my competition who have like 50,000 people watching their stories, and they're struggling. Yeah. Or not maybe struggling, but you would think that they'd be like exponentially crushing what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And being a business coach, I've got a lot of intel on, like, I can kind of see through the numbers. The numbers don't like depress me anymore. If I see somebody's big Instagram following, because I'm around people with big followings all the time, and I know how they're financially doing, and I'm like, you're struggling to keep the lights on. You can't put bread on the table anymore. So I can kind of see through that. So we really, focus on helping people, do what matters.
Love it.
And I would ask too, just like, like you touched on, it's not easy as it looks like, people portray it to start an online fitness business. So what would you, maybe 2 or 3 really good nuggets you'd give to like a personal trainer that's really thinking about, I want to do like, an online business, or somebody that just wants to go, head into it,
Yeah. Well, one, you gotta crystallize your why behind your why. Or why do you want to do this? It can't just be about the money.
Yeah.
I mean, initially, if it's a bit about that, it can be, but it has to very quickly evolve beyond that. There's got to be a bigger reason. Is it freedom? Is it mobility? Is it impact? Is it to create something that makes a huge difference in an area people need? Like, you got to have a reason bigger than paying your bills.
Yeah.
And wanting to go on a 2-week vacation, or maybe have the laptop lifestyle. And to be honest, a laptop, I don't want a laptop lifestyle. I'd rather have an iPhone lifestyle, to be honest. Like, I don't want to carry my laptop around everywhere.
Especially on the beach.
Yeah. I don't even know what, so you got to crystallize your why, and you got to be honest. Like, do you really want to do this? That's what I try and talk people out of this. Like, it's not a reverse psychology sales trick. I really try and find out, like, why do you want to do this, and why now, and are you going to be doing this with or without us?
Love it.
And again, trying to get them clear on why they can't stay where they're at. And if they have a big enough reason for wanting to leave behind what they're currently doing, they're going to do fine. Absolutely. I don't know when, but eventually it'll take off.
Yeah.
So, I think the main thing I look for is to get them to do that, and then to understand that there's no instant gratification in this business. And maybe, now I will say, there's some people who come into our group, they've got big audiences. We teach them how to do a launch, and there's a big surge of cash flow. But then they've kind of exhaust their audience. And now you got to start implementing like all the core marketing stuff.
Yeah,
You need a message, you need an audience, you need a core promise, you need a person, you need a process, you need all those things to keep it growing. And so I tell people, don't expect any instant gratification.
Yeah.
This is a long, long runway, and there might not even be any takeoff.
Yeah. And that success is not guaranteed. It isn't at the end of the day.
So those are the 2 big ones. And then I tell everybody, you need a trusted mentor.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be me, but you need to find somebody who can give you marching orders, somebody who can help you get clarity of vision, clarity of focus, and keep you aligned on that. And find somebody that you trust, somebody that you resonate with, somebody who's got a good story that, I like this guy, I want this guy, I don't want to disappoint this guy. I think those would be the 3 pieces that would get somebody some good headway.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I'm going to go back. Like, one of the follow-up questions was going to be like, what kind of separates you from like the other coaches, but you already pretty much answered it. And I love that you use that to your advantage. And, that's what I would hire, is somebody that has experience. And I think it's overlooked so much these days, because there's so many people out here these days telling them that they can help you build this online business, but they don't have a fucking business themselves. So how the hell are they going to help you build that business with no experience, not going through the entrepreneur dark times, when you're not making money and shit is getting rough, so.
Yeah. So let me ask you guys a question. What do people hire, coaches or coaching?
Coaching.
Let's go again.
Coaches. Sorry. Coaches.
Yeah. So do people hire coaches or coaching?
No, coaches.
Yeah.
That's a tricky one, though.
It is. You had me.
Let's talk about that for a second, though,
because I think there is a difference between coaching and just teaching as well, too.
Yeah. So where I was going with that is, like, one question I get all the time is this: is there enough room in the marketplace for me?
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And so why?
Yeah, because each coach has like a unique advantage over everybody else, and everyone's going to gravitate.
And what are those? And what are those advantages? What is a coach's advantage?
I would say experience. If that coach really truly does have experience, I always say, do they have some sort of theory, hypothesis? Are they action takers? And most importantly, do they have experience in what they're doing?
And what are 2 or 3 things that nobody can steal from a coach?
I would say definitely the experience, and then I would say some sort of, I don't know if I'm saying this right, but like a grit to not quit, and just be fucking resilient and just get through that,
Yeah. So that's what I would try and tell people. Like, the things that I'm thinking of is like your story. People can't steal your story.
Absolutely.
All right. People can't steal your strengths.
Yeah.
People can't steal your personality and vibe.
Yep.
Like those are things that you can't steal that stuff from me. And what I really impress upon people is that people do buy coaches, not coaching.
Yeah.
If you get into a legit coaching program, you're buying pretty much the same stuff.
Yeah.
You're getting knowledge. You're going to get speed. You're going to get likely relationships if they're well connected, and you're going to get accountability.
Yeah.
All right. So that kind of comes with the majority of good coaching programs. But, what you don't get is belief.
Yeah.
And ultimately what separates people from taking, action and going to this level versus like way up here, this level, is the belief in their coach that what they're telling them will work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So when I tell my students, hey, I need you to invest into this guy who's going to run your Facebook ads, because these guys you've been using, these $500 a month guys who just got certified last week, you're not saving money working with this guy for $500 a month instead of going with this guy for $5,500 a month. In their mind, like, but that's so much more. I'm like, but you've been using these other guys for 9 months and you haven't got any results.
Right.
If you just started with this guy back then, so they're listening to this, it all makes sense. But guess what makes them make the call and hire the other
belief.
guy? When I say, this is the guy I work with.
Yep. The belief.
This is the guy I pay every month.
Absolutely.
That's when they say, okay, Vince is asking me to do something that he does himself. I'm asking my students, you guys need to kill your darlings. You got to kill these two things over here that are pennies, and you got to double down. Now, they've heard this by Jay Pappson and Gary Keller. They've heard this in The One Thing. They've heard this in Essentialism. They've heard this from Craig Ballantyne. They've heard this a million times. But guess why they take the advice? Because I just told them I've let my fitness business die.
Yep.
I'm letting my supplement, like, it's just we're running traffic to it, but we're not trying to grow it, because I'm practicing the message myself. And when they see the coach actually living out what they're being asked to do themselves, they're forced to take action.
Yeah.
I'll give you guys an example just from today. I asked Bejos, I said, how should I be focusing on growing my Instagram page? And he just gave me one piece of advice. He said, just collaborate with other influencers, just people that will elevate your name and your brand. And I said, like who? And he said, just connect with people that are legit, that have legitimate street cred, and build relationships with them, and just don't force it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, people want to buy from celebrities, because and when you become a celebrity, you lower the resistance for people to invest in you, because they trust you. I agree. So today we were up training with Michael Heron at Gold's Gym, and he's a guy that I want to be seen with and I want to learn from, and that's a great partnership. So we got to know each other. We created a little video. We'll post it, and I'm gonna likely get him to write my nutrition plan. We built now. Not every relationship goes on to like extra things after it, but that was his advice. So when my students come to me and say, hey, Vince, how do I get more attention? How do I elevate my brand? How do I grow my following? Should I go with this service over here? I'm like, just associate with credible people.
Exactly.
And your audience will grow at the rate it'll grow, but it'll be the right followers.
Exactly.
Stop trying to force stuff along.
Yeah. And most importantly, I love that but enjoy the journey. You know what I mean? Don't stop focusing on the end result or the end destination. And it's like you said, all these people, they want to be, looked at and get more eyeballs, but it's like they're not willing to go the extra mile. They're not willing to have someone tell them no. It's like there's like no what's it called? They just can't take like no for an answer, or it's like they want to rush it, like you said. And it's like, man, you have to put in your work. It's like, what can I do for this person, right? It's like without you asking for an ask. So and it's huge.
Yeah. So that's what I encourage people to do, and just like invest now with the intention to see an ROI, not next month or 2 months from now, but 2-3 years from now.
Play the long game.
Yeah. Just like, what's the rush? I heard, who is it? Gary Vee say this the other day, and it was so good. I don't listen to as much Gary Vee as I used to, but I love this line. He goes, what's the rush?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you need to become a millionaire when you're 27? What's wrong with 31?
Yeah.
Why do you need to be a millionaire at 41? What's wrong with 45? I love that.
Yeah.
I thought that was so good. Like, what's the rush?
Yeah. It's like everyone wants instant these days. Instant,
Yeah.
instant. So what do you see the fitness industry going like in the next 3 to 5 years? If you just had this like hypothesis.
Yeah, I know where it's going. One, most people won't be in business.
Okay.
It's going to be so expensive.
Just for ads? And
Yeah, because the big businesses haven't come in yet. Yeah, they haven't caught on yet. The big businesses are going to come in and they're going to quickly figure out that they can spend boatloads of money on these platforms that they're not spending right now, and a lot of people are going to get wiped out overnight.
Can you give me an example of one of these big businesses?
Man, I don't know the names, but big businesses.
Are you talking about like an LA Fitness?
Yeah,
or?
corporate clubs.
Okay,
Yeah, more like
yeah,
corporate kind of
gotcha.
stuff.
Yeah,
Like
cool.
right now, like the influencers, like we can get fairly decent traffic. Like it's not cheap, but it's not crazy expensive either. Like you can get emails for $1 to $2. It's going to cost $6 to $8 to get an email address. It's going to cost $6 to $8 to get a follower by doing Instagram paid ads. So like, businesses are going to get immediately wiped out. A lot of like people just playing small right now who are not investing into growing their name and becoming a specialist. So all the generalists will get wiped out.
Yep.
Anybody who is not skilled, truly skilled, all the jack of all trades, master of none will get wiped out. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the reasons our coaching program is really moving towards helping people build high ticket coaching programs, because that's my specialty. Yeah. My specialty is phone closing and just keeping a simple model cater to one person. So I think people that will be doing fine are people that are true specialists in servicing one person. I've got 5 Ps here. So one person who's got one problem that's causing a very specific pain, and they can make that person a very specific promise, and they have a very unique process. Right? So those people will be fine. All right. So I think you got to get really good at what you do.
Yeah, I agree.
If you want to be around in 2025, you just have to be really good at one thing. Yep. And then with all your money that you're making right now, you need to reinvest it back into your brand and to get more attention, because money follows attention, right? It's not like know and trust. People can't like, know, and trust you if they don't know you. They got to get to know you first. So attention becomes, well, it's just a trust factor. It's just a likability. Well, yeah, if they knew you. So you got to invest into getting known.
Yeah, I agree.
That was a huge switch. Thank you, Grant Cardone, for hammering that on me last year. And then you take that cash you're making and you put it into some stuff that can create some cash flow. Yeah. All right. And I'm not an expert on that, but maybe some real estate or something. That way you've got your money working in case something does go sideways. Yeah. And that would be, those would be the 3 things I would tell everybody to do. Invest in you, invest in your brand, and then invest into some cash flow. And definitely play the long game and take care of the people that are signing up for your program today. Retention now is more important than ever before. All right. And it's not what you make, it's what you keep, and what you keep is going to be based on if you truly are helping people. So I've made a goal. I have a goal this year, and my goal is to help 7 of my coaching members go over 7 figures and 50 of them to go over 6 figures. Like, that's my mission this year. Nice. So everything I'm doing is revolved around like the way I structure my day. I'm like, if I could spend an extra half hour working with one coaching client to help them get more results versus going on a podcast or shooting a YouTube video, I'm going to say no to that, because if I can get this client to their goal, that will have much more bigger ROI down the road.
And just referrals. Love it, man. Oh, jeez. And then I would even say, to add to that, where I see things going too, and we've talked about this even with some of our mentors, is just lower entry points, $7 just like entry points to where it's like you said, because, people need to get to know you, like you, and trust you, right? They're not going to sit there and just cold traffic come to you and just, fork out $50, $100, $200 because they're very skeptical. There's a lot of just bullshit marketing that goes around ads but I love those. I love where you went with that, because I agree with that. All those things.
I love those 5 Ps too. I'm gonna have to go back after and start taking some notes on that. That was gold, man. Thank you.
Those are the 5 Ps for the perfect program.
Yeah, thank you. That was gold. Okay, so you talked about kind of structuring your day. So I'm kind of like a freak, man, when it comes to like knowing people's day-to-day lifestyles, like what their morning routine is.
He's the weird twin.
The weird twin. Like, how do you program your mind to like literally get shit done, play offense? You know, like what's your wind down routine? Like, so yeah, walk us in the day of the life of Vince, and you know, what do you do from like, you know, morning, midday? How do you shut it all off, and how do you program your mind to just get shit done and play offense?
Well, I don't shut it off. I'm horrible at that. Like I
Aren't we all?
yeah, no, I don't. I mean, I can't talk. That would be the biggest hit.
Yeah.
But my wife was here and heard me talking about shutting it off right now. Yeah, she'd throw that thing across the. Yeah, so I do start my day early at 4:30. My body naturally wakes up, and then I head downstairs. I'm a little slow getting to the gym down in my own home. Usually check social media a little more. Try to start with a little devotional. I have my preload, which is my all-day energy formula. Then I do my workout. My kids are on a weird schedule right now. They used to sleep into like 7:30 plus. Now they're up like at 6:30, 5:30 some days. It's crazy. So they're downstairs sometimes with me while I'm trying to work out. I've got a newborn as well. So sometimes my wife will text me, say, hey, can you bring the baby down? I didn't sleep all night. So basically now my workout's, you know, been cut in half, or it's a, you know, half-ass workout or whatever. So that's essentially the morning. Then I get the kids ready for school between 7:30, 8:45, and then I work from 9 until 4:30.
Okay.
And Mondays are team calls. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, I have some prospect calls. Then coaching calls Wednesday, Thursday, and then I do content creation in the mornings, podcasts on Fridays.
Nice.
I end my day at 4:30. Sometimes a little later. Try and go upstairs earlier, and then I don't work on weekends. Something I haven't done. I've been, you know, my bad habits are checking the phone still on the weekends and that. But that's really my structure: 9 to 4:30, Monday to Friday. Yeah. There's no real work that's done outside those times.
Right. And how hard? Number one, how hard was it? And number two, how long did it take for you to sit there and be like, I'm not working weekends anymore?
Oh, I still don't. I'm at church on Sunday mornings, you know, filming the worship, and then, you know, reading my notes that Stephen Furtick shared last week to create an IG story to put on top of the worship while I want to put my hands up in praise. And yeah, I'm always working, man.
Your mind's always there.
It's tough, yeah. And it's something that I'm a work in progress in. I'm aware of it. Some days I will say some days are better than others.
Yeah.
I can do it if I turn the phone off. It's just, it's sometimes, it's a constant, like,
Absolutely.
So much room for improvement.
Yeah.
But one thing I have done is I do leave my phone downstairs when I'm done my day at 4:30. And if I leave my phone downstairs and then I come upstairs and I go do the barbecue, see, I have this weird thing. Like if I'm out at the barbecue and I'm making a steak, it's taking 15 minutes to get the coals going. I got an egg. And then I'm taking another 15 minutes to make the steak. I feel like I'm wasting 30 minutes by not actually doing something on my phone instead of just like maybe, I don't know, standing outside and looking around. I don't know.
Yeah, or
So that's where my brain's, that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I don't have a positive report on like I've got this figured out.
No,
I won't be writing a book on this.
Yeah, I don't think any of us
I'm not writing a book on this one.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's why I like this question, because I know everybody has different day-to-day, like, you know, habits, rituals, systems. So that's why I like to ask. So what do you do after 4:30 when you pretty much shut it off until like bedtime?
I try and go upstairs. I'll spend time with the kids. You know, when I come upstairs, they want to wrestle. I'll chase them around. Sometimes I'll go run some errands. It's usually I start cooking dinner because we try and get the kids upstairs by 6. So it's usually come upstairs, chill, see how the day was, maybe clean up a bit, start making dinner. I make dinner every night for us.
Nice, man. Nice.
So, and then, try and spend some time with the kids, see what needs to be done.
Awesome.
And then there's baths and then bottles and then stories and then chasing and then it's craziness and then there's usually a mess to clean up and then, so that's usually when my wife and I will crack open a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
All right. And we had, recently I just brought back a lot of wine. So at the end of the day, you just want to take the edge off.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And the, fastest way to do that is with a nice red wine.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm with you on that.
Sounds good, man. A little bit of vino.
Oh, like a little bit. Yeah. You know, my wife and I both love wine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's good. But then, you're tired. You're exhausted at the end of the day. And it's tough because, you know, you should spend some time with your spouse and sit by, you know, not just watch. You know, we just cranked through another series. Which one did we watch? Billions. You know, we just were tired to talk. But like, you got to. Then the day's still not over. Then you got to schedule talk time on Tuesday, Thursday nights.
Yeah.
And you got to make sure that relationship's still going. So,
Do you guys have a date night? We do.
Right on.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. And we're good about it, say 80% of the time. We do make an effort to make sure there's a sitter, and we do have a date night, and it makes a huge difference.
Absolutely.
It's really important.
I agree.
I'm a huge believer in that.
Yeah, today's my 2-year anniversary with my girlfriend, and that's why I was like kind of like when you told me later, I was like, oh,
I'm glad
shit.
I'm glad you stood up. Yeah.
I was like, man, Vince, you're putting me in the doghouse, man. But
Oh no, I'm glad you said that. Yeah, I would. A guy like me, I understand, right?
yeah. I'm just looking forward to what gift she gives him because then I'm gonna get to wear it.
Oh yeah, yeah. There you go. It works out nice there. Yeah.
All right, Vince. So let's say you woke up in the morning and you got this like funny little ringtone on your phone, and it was actually a message from, let's say Mark Zuckerberg, because I mean he pretty much owns Instagram, right? So he was like, Vince, I love what you're doing. I love your mission. I love your why. Everything that you're doing. It's like I want to grant you a 1-minute viral video that's gonna reach billions and billions of people. What would that 1-minute video be and why?
Mikey, what would we do? I would go to my brother. My brother's a documentary award-winning filmmaker,
awesome,
and he's the creator.
Yeah.
So all of the cool ideas come from him, and we would definitely ensure that our vision and values are built into it. I think those are two things.
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't miss out on those pieces. So I think there'd be some great shots of. I think those would be the three things. Yeah, vision, values. So like where we're going. So like probably a shot of my coaching program, me in a room teaching, sound bites of my students. Because that's what matters. Yeah. What's going on, the hero stories, and pictures of the family, and probably a workout shot as well. Yeah. But it would be a call to action for essentially be what we're already putting out. I don't know how much different. What else would we do different? It'd be exactly what I'm already putting out, what we're already running ads to. I would just say, can we get more attention on this? We're already, I think, doing the best we can.
Yeah, absolutely. It wouldn't hurt to have a few billion extra eyes on it too.
Exactly. I honestly don't think that's the thing. I think you guys are just hitting it on the head. People don't have like your stuff's good. Yeah. You just get more people to discover it.
Exactly. It's the name of the game.
It's like, I told all my coaching students this last mastermind. I said, if you're going to interact with it, I kicked off the event. There was almost 100 people in the room. I said, you're going to meet a lot of people this weekend. And I'm going to bet that about 98% of the people in this room are going to like you. What does that tell you?
Exactly.
You just got to get more people to like you.
Yeah. And you know it's funny too. One of my other mentors once told me, he's like, I can't stand all this shit about people saying, oh, there's so many haters out there, blah blah blah. And it's like, man, like if you really stop and think about it, why would people really like want to sit there and dog you and say they don't want you to succeed? I think it's the other way around. People want to see you succeed. So it's one of those things where I just think I can't stand when people say that, like, oh, I have so many haters or so many haters out there. I'm like, come on, man, like just think bigger.
Yeah. I mean, your vision's got to be bigger than squashing some haters.
Exactly.
I mean, you shouldn't even know they exist. I mean, you're creating, right? If you're creating, you have time to consume or criticize.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
So something you posted on your Instagram last week, you're talking about a to-do and to-decide list. Is that what it was?
Yep.
I love that, man. So can you just go in more in depth on what you mean by that?
Yeah. First of all, to give credit where credit's due, I learned that from Pastor Craig Groeschel of Life Church TV, and he's got a podcast. They actually release one episode on the first Thursday of every month, and they get over 1 million downloads a month. Craig Groeschel, he's legit. Dude's got bigger biceps than most guys in the gym. He's an outstanding guy. I learn a lot from him, so I steal a lot of stuff from him, and that was something I learned from his podcast. Yeah. And the big thing with that is the reason you want to have a to decide list is because decisions require emotions, right? And they to doing things just like activity, it's just more action. It's energy, but it's not emotions. Two different things, right? Mm-hmm. So you've got to set times in the week where you decide: are you going to go to this event? Are you going to hire this person? Are you going to make these key decisions? And you just do them all at once. I typically do them after I have a scoop of my pre-workout preload because it unlocks a lot of stuff in your brain. It'd be the equivalent of having like a double espresso.
Nice.
You know how you're like quick, right? Your brain's thinking like I'm going to have this call now. I'm going to confront this person. I'm going to make this video now. You got the endorphins and the tyrosine and the dopamine and all that good stuff going in your brain. Well, that's when I do it because it's easy to send a text message to
Mike O'Hara, like, what if I text him and he doesn't reply? Or to Christian Thibodeau or Stan Efforty, like, hey, I see you guys are in town next week. I'd love to get a lift in with you and bring you on my podcast. What if they say no? Vince DelMonte, I don't want anything to do with this guy. But when you get that, it's almost like not liquid courage, but it's it's preload courage.
Yeah.
It gives you that ability to. So I like to just lump the decisions together, but then I'll add something to that as well. One of the big things I'm now learning from Craig Rochelle is that the number one ways to become a great decision maker is to avoid decision fatigue.
Okay.
So what does that mean? What does it mean to avoid decision fatigue? Most people just don't make good decisions because they have too many to make.
Yep, right.
And the reason they have too many to make is because they're not empowering people around them to make the decision. And you should only be making 5% of the decisions that only you can make. And your lid is you.
Yeah.
And your ability to empower others to make great decisions and improve their leadership. So, I mean, heck, on the way over, one of my project manager was asking me about some tech issue about launching a program later this week, and the membership site won't be ready in time, and they want to know, what do I want to do about it? I just type back, you decide.
Yeah.
Like, well, what are the options? Don't run it or do it the next week. You can figure that one out.
Yeah.
So I just have to keep, and I can't get mad at her or anything. I can't like get frustrated. I just have to keep empowering to say, hey, and it seemed like I saw she's text back something. I don't know if I'm going to, actually agree with it, but I need her to become better at making decisions, or it's always on me.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's always on
such a
me.
good point.
So I think that's a huge thing that I'm working on this year, focusing on making less decisions and just making the key ones.
Yeah. Or just saying no more to certain things.
Yeah, it helps too.
And that also comes just with like great
Yeah.
leadership as well, though, man. Because like you're evolving more into a leader. For you to make less decisions and kind of empower them to be able to make the decisions going down the way. That's a true leader.
Yeah.
So 100%. Yeah.
Has there ever been like a failure or something in your life, like a tragedy that's turned into like a blessing in disguise, or it's just been it's made a huge pivot in your life that you could think of?
Well, I'm trying to the word tragedy, we've been pretty blessed to not have like anything like crazy, come too close to home kind of thing that's I think personally impacted me in a way that's like thrown off my whole like, whoa, what do I believe anymore? I don't know if I have that story coming to me. One thing I will mention was 2010, I had two individuals approach me, two friends that I was in a mastermind with, and they asked me to have my own mastermind. And what they did was they pulled me aside and they say, hey, Vince, you've been contributing more ideas than anybody else in the room. We're wondering if you will mentor us. And this was when I was in the thick of my fitness business. I'm like, why would I have a mastermind? Why would I teach you guys what I'm doing? It makes zero sense. Why would I coach you? Why would I coach my competition? And they made me an irresistible offer. They said, what if we figure out the locations and find 10 guys at $10,000 a head? Would you be interested? And I said, I guess so. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So they found 10 guys. They all wired me 10 grand. And I started this mastermind, and all they wanted me to do was show up. It was about every 4 months and teach what I was doing in my business. Yeah. So I was showing up doing just that, but I didn't have PowerPoints. Mm-hmm. I wasn't creating worksheets. There was no accountability. It was literally that. Plant me in a room like this, talk, take me out of the room, and go back to what I was doing. And I had a great first meeting in Quebec, and then the second one was in Las Vegas, and then the third one was in Florida, the Keys, and it was the end. It was the last one, and so I'm trying to figure out, man, I can probably get these guys for 15 grand a pop, and have them all renew for another year. And I didn't have a coach then; nobody was guiding me, and it was actually a room like this. It's actually really funny. I was sitting right here, and the room was full of all the guys, and they all like blew up their businesses that year. Half of them were all starting like about 6 figures a year. They all went over $500,000, some over $1 million within 1 year. So you think, I deliver the goods, but what they basically said was, hey, can we talk to you tonight after dinner? We wanted to just, because I pitched everything and nobody like stood up and nobody said, yeah, we're in, let's do it for another year. There was just crickets. You imagine in a room making a pitch and there being crickets. Right. None of them signed, like no one said, yeah, man, let's do this for sure. Yeah. So that night, one of the guys took the lead and basically said in a very kind way that, you know, we're not interested in going another year. And they basically said in a very sincere way, you dropped the ball in this last mastermind. And they said you blew us away in the first one and even the second one, but not as much. And in the third one, it seemed like you just showed up. And that was a huge blow. Not because I didn't get the money, but because 10 dear friends, close friends that have my best interests at heart, people that I'm still great friends with all of them to this day. Nothing actually, like, we're all great friends to this day. But that thing died in that room, in that hotel room, in the Keys. And it was like a blow. Like, where did that come from? I wasn't prepared. I didn't have a vision for where it was going. I didn't have a vision for any of them. And it was a side gig, and it ended as a side gig. It started and stopped. So there was always that fear of going back to that, because do I have what it takes? I was truly afraid. That's what I told Bedros when he said, why don't you have your own mastermind? And I was doing these 2-day events, and he said, yeah, you're comfortable there because you don't have to keep growing yourself. You can show up, keep teaching the beginners what you know, take off, make 25, 40 grand in a weekend, but this is all about you. He didn't say that, but that's pretty much what it was all about. This is, and not that I didn't like doing it, I love doing it, but I didn't have a vision for helping people. I didn't see that this is my calling and that there's nobody better in the industry to help people get started, because I've done this for 10 years and I want to do this. I really know this industry. So that was a huge, I guess as close I could describe as a tragedy. It was a massive blow to my confidence, and I felt like I let all these guys down. I missed out on this amazing opportunity, and that's why I never went, I didn't continue that.
But there's a lesson behind it and a reasoning, but you might not know it now, but I mean, there's a reason going forward. So I mean, that's awesome. So thanks for sharing that. Appreciate that.
So let's say, Vince, that I don't know, for some reason you had to leave the planet for 10 years, but you're going to come back in 10 years. We don't know why you're leaving, but you're going to come back.
Okay.
You have one paragraph left to tell Mikey, your family, your friends, your loved ones, your coaching clients, your community. What would that last paragraph be?
Well, take care of the kids, make sure the kids are heavily invested in, and oh man, I don't know what I would say. You're like, these questions I'm not good at. I don't know what I'd say. I think it would definitely be something around taking care of the kids, making sure Flavia has is empowered to go out and make the decisions she needs to keep the family prioritized. I honestly don't even know what I'd say.
No, that's fine. No.
Yeah. You guys stumped me on that
Stop
one.
throwing curveballs.
It would definitely be something with obviously keeping the kids intact, keeping the family intact, and my wife's smart. I just tell her you don't need my advice. You know what to do.
Yeah.
She'll figure it out. They know me well enough to know like what would make sense.
Yeah. Gotcha. So Vince, every morning we have to sit there and wake up every day. We have to wash our face. We have to, brush our teeth, all that stuff. There's an old saying of, we are our own worst critics. So every day when you wake up and see yourself in the mirror, are you content with who you are?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, every day you feel like a fraud, like, cause everybody knows deep down, like, that we know like the things we all wrestle with, and so every day you feel like someday I'm going to get found out. Because I mean, I think, but overall, I think what I feel good about is that people know my intent, and then my intentions are really good. I think I'm proud of being real and raw. I think I'm getting more clear, more strong in my beliefs in that. In regards to what I say, I actually do believe what I'm saying most of the time. So I think I would be, I do feel like I like what I see. I definitely feel like a hypocrite quite a bit, when you talk about family and stuff, and I'm doing a post on Instagram about family and my daughter's grabbing my leg, trying to get my attention. And my wife says like, she calls me out. Yeah. So I think every day you question, and I think here's the deal at the end of the day is, me and Mikey were talking about this before, like a lot of people, are, projecting this whole thing that it's all about just you, and that you've got what it takes. I don't have what it takes. I'm unqualified.
Yeah.
I'm not qualified. I've just been given gifts that I'm trying to manage the best I can. So I think there comes some humility that like I can't figure this out by myself.
Yeah.
You know, that's where my faith comes in and all that. But I truly believe that I'm supposed to partner and that I can be used, and I have to just keep being available and keep showing up and focus on improvement and progression and being teachable and pivoting along the way. But I think because of those character traits, I'm really proud, and I know that I'm trying to improve. Sometimes I wish that I would be a little more I wish I would act on a little more urgency, I think.
Gotcha.
Sometimes I think I take my loved ones for granted a little too much. I think that's one of my probably, you know, I know I can push my wife.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, yeah, but she'll get mad at me, but like, so yeah, I think that's where there's that whole how pure are my motives. You get, and you can kind of like beat yourself up.
Yeah.
But I think you got to just continue to. You can't like, you know, what are you going to do instead?
Yeah.
Give up? You got to keep getting better. Exactly. You know what I mean? Like those are those demons. Those are those lies. That's like what the devil says to you. Like, and then you end up counting yourself out.
Absolutely.
Right. And then, because you got to be aware that there is a war going on for your mind, and that, you know, the devil does want to take you out of the game.
Yeah.
Because if he can take you out, then he's going to take all your loved ones out next, because you're meant to provide and protect them. And when he takes the guy out, then the woman fall next, and then the kids fall next. Absolutely. So you have to understand that there is an attack going on for your mind. So I just try and do my best to stay around people that will call me out, hold me accountable, and understand that I can't do this by myself. I need other people, and I need a different kind of power that's not my own. Yeah. And try and walk in that. Yeah. And make the most of it.
Yeah. Love that, man. No, and it's that's so great. True, because I mean, I'm with you. Just like everything that goes on the inside, I say that, you know, it's our inner world, right? So our inner world controls our outer world, all of our behavior, our actions, our environment. Mm-hmm. So if our inner world isn't strong, if we're not content, we're not happy, we're not fulfilled, then our outer world is going to suffer no matter what. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. You left me kind of just like deep thought, man. That was good. Yeah. Some deep stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I think at the same time with all that, you don't want to overanalyze. It's like so much to the point where you don't take any action, right? Yeah. Like, I don't think there's any mistakes that are unrecoverable from. And I think, you know, you just need good people around you. Yeah. And you do have to figure out what do you value? You know, what do you prize highly and what do you practice daily? And if you get clear on what you value, you can start making better decisions. So, you know, I think it really does come down to really getting clear on who you want to be. Yeah. As opposed to what do you want to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
And when you get clear on who you want to be, then your do can flow into your be. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Man,
so you got to start with the be, not the do.
Yeah.
Us guys, that's what we start with. Oh, what are you doing these days? Oh, yeah. So we have what conversations? And how conversations. Yeah. So how things going? You know, how much you making? You know, how much? You know, how and what? But really, I mean, how often do guys say like, "So are you happy with who you're becoming as a brother?
Oh no.
Are you happy with who you're becoming as a boyfriend?
Yeah.
Are you happy who you're becoming?" So, and I think if you put everything else in front of, if you put that behind just like your achievements and all that, you know, our pastor says this: your reasons are your rewards.
Oof. Ooh, yeah.
So if your reasons for doing something are metrics, then, well, if you don't get the metrics you want, if you do get the metric, like, if that doesn't make you happy, that was your reason. So I think we need to really assess what your reasons are.
Yeah.
Because
Does your pastor do like video conferencing or something? Because I want in on a little bit of these nuggets he's telling you.
Oh, he's the biggest pastor in the world, Elevation Church.
Okay.
Yeah, his social media is at 1.2 million Instagram followers. Stephen Furtick. Yeah. The church is they're on a whole nother level. Like you'll get like a whole full blown business. You'll like get a billion business lessons just looking at their social media.
I would be there every Sunday.
Oh yeah, he's outstanding.
Yeah.
He's the most influential pastor in the world right now.
Very
Stephen,
cool.
38-year-old guy, young, beautiful family. Dude's built, and you know, he's the guy I learn a lot from. But what he's great at is reframing life's lessons from a biblical perspective, and just seeing everything from like, oh wow, I thought this was happening for this reason. It's actually happening for this reason. So he's one of the most influential, you know, people that speak to me. I allow into my life, And I mean, yeah, he's on YouTube, Instagram. I mean, they crank it. Yeah, you can watch every sermon every single week, and you can watch it live. They do 5 lives a day on Sunday. Like, this place is on a whole nother level. Like, if you want to see, like, you think Gary Vee, Anthony Robbins, and Ed Mylett or something, this guy blows them all away. Like, Grant Cardone, like, he blows all these guys away. I love those guys.
Yeah,
I love all those guys. But this guy is like so gifted.
Yeah,
best at what he does. Nobody comes close, and he's like super humble too, and I get to actually meet him in a few weeks. Yeah, we got invited to go to the church, and I'm super excited. So just tune on anything. You'll get a lot out of it, regardless of where you guys are at with anything like faith and stuff.
Will do. Yeah. Cool. All right, Vince. So before we ask the last question, I want to take a moment to commend you. I know Big Brother by 1 minute. It's the same thing he wants to say too, but I beat him to the punch right now.
No worries.
I just want to say, man,
fight over it.
Honestly, thank you so much for coming, spending time with us. I know it's been a long time coming for us to meet and have you on the podcast. It's great meeting your brother Mikey.
Absolutely.
And just thank you, man, for just carving time out, sharing wisdom, life experiences, and everything that you're doing to help out like the fitness industry, make better coaches, people create more impact, freedom. I really commend you on that.
Oh,
so thank you so
Eric,
much.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you.
Oh, see, Chris.
No, I had it right. I got it mixed up?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Chris, Eric, I thought I had it I was keeping it in my head the whole time.
It's all good.
Okay, Chris, thank you.
Yeah.
Eric, thank you.
You're very welcome. Yeah.
So what does it mean to Vince?
Edit that one out. No, that's the best part. Right?
No, exactly. What does it mean for you to live a dynamic lifestyle?
Dynamic. Yeah, I think to show up, and then when you show up again. I think that's something I'm working on, not just to be there, but to be fully there, like turn it on when you're there. So double it up.
Okay. Love it. Now, before we end, is there anything that we could support you on, or the listeners, that maybe you're just working on right now, you're going to be launching?
If somebody wants to start or scale their online fitness business, we'd love to meet them, and we have events every 90 days. So my mastermind, we let how many people? 25 people sit in on every event. We're in Vancouver in May, and then in Toronto in November. I'd love to have you guys as my guests. If you guys would like to, actually August and November we'll be in Toronto.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's where we do our thing and give people the intel on how to grow their businesses. So that would be a cool spot. And then my Instagram, I engage with everybody. I try and reply to every single message. So that's the simplest place to connect with me.
And then where can we find that awesome pre-workout?
Oh, yes. FullyLoadedSupplements.com.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Fully Loaded Supplements. Energy for entrepreneurs.
I like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Love it.
it's amazing.
Yeah. All right, guys. So we'll have that all hooked up in the show notes. Vince, once again, thank you so much for coming on.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Okay, guys. Until next time.
Thanks, man.
Awesome.
Vince.
That was great. Awesome. That was great. Awesome. That was great.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this podcast video. If you guys are interested in learning how to build your online fitness business, we have 2 free videos for you guys. The first video is how to build your online fitness business and make more money. And the second one is how to retain your actual online clients so you can sustain your online business. So make sure to click the link in the description box below and access those 2 videos and wait for the next podcast that comes on.